So one of the critical things that I think is just so important if you're trying to follow a healthy, whole food, plant-based diet is just have only healthy food in the house. Have only the things you want to eat in your house. It just makes life so much simpler and less stressful. I don't monitor at all what my kids eat. They're allowed free reign of everything in the house other than very few select snack foods simply because they're dry goods like crackers or freeze-dried peas and corn that are expensive and that I save for when we're out and about or traveling and we need those snacks. So it's purely a cost thing. I don't want them to eat those nonstop at home because we can eat cheaper foods at home. But other than that, they're allowed free reign. They eat whenever they're hungry, as do my husband and I, because that's all there is in the house. They see us eat only healthy food. They eat only healthy food. It's all tasty food, but it's also really good for our bodies. So let me show you what our fridge looks like, just an average weekday. I want to, as a caveat, say the things you won't see in our fridge are going to be steamed veggies, and that's because I make them fresh every day. Um, my husband prefers his in like a mixed dish that I make for him, and I just change up the spices and vegetables and grains and legumes and stuff like that. I'll do that in a separate video to show you how I do that. Mine is usually in the form of a veggie soup, kind of with all sorts of different vegetables that I just make in the Instapot, and it changes depending on just what I'm in the mood for and what's in season and what I'm digesting really well and stuff like that. And my boys, usually I either give them fresh vegetables, like tomatoes and cucumbers and things like that they enjoy, or carrots, or an entire like 12-ounce bag of steamed vegetables each, things like that. Sometimes I'll make a salad, but that's a little more finicky. They do love that though. So you won't see that in our fridge. You'll see some fresh vegetables that I use to make some of those things, but I use a lot of frozen vegetables as well. Also, you won't see fruit in our fridge because I tend to either some of it's frozen and then the rest I store downstairs, because if I keep it upstairs, we either tend to get fruit flies, or if I keep it in our fridge, I just find it's not necessary and we don't really like super cold fruit. So generally I keep it downstairs in our food storage closet, and our typical staples for that are apples and oranges and bananas because they're cheapest and they store well. We do, especially in the summer, splurge and get some really nice fruit when it's in season and on sale, like cherries and blue. My kids love fresh blueberries and raspberries and blackberries, and sometimes during the year we'll also get kiwi. What else do we eat a lot? Sometimes mango, um, pears, things like that. But I don't usually buy those on a weekly basis simply because of cost and their ripeness level. And honestly, it's mostly cost because we're feeding 4 people healthfully. So I try to keep it a little bit reasonable. Anyway, let me show you what's in our fridge. So here's a typical just weekday. I work tonight, so I just try to have things stocked up and ready to go before I leave. You are going to see mainly what I call lovingly wet starch staples, or just even starch staples. And this just means these are the foods that not only are they super nutritious, but they're filling, and they will give us primarily the energy we need. So I always talk with my kids in terms of these are good energy foods. Like vegetables, fruits they're really good and healthy for us, and we should eat a lot of them, but we also have to make sure we eat lots of good energy foods that stick with us and give us good energy. So top shelf, because my husband is 6'3", is usually for my husband. I have to refill his stuff here pretty soon, but a lot of stuff on these 2 shelves, actually all of it, is really mainly things he'll eat. These are beans just cooked up in the Instapot. A couple, I think I put pinto and white beans that I'd left over, if I remember right, in there. He's a condiment guy. He will throw the salt-free mustard or hot sauce I make on those a lot of times, or just make his own concoctions. And then sometimes I have homemade ketchup too, and he'll put that mixed with other stuff on them. I don't know, all sorts of weird things he makes. And then this is some cooked buckwheat that I made in the Instapot. I try to change up the grains and the beans, or I make things like curries or chilies for him. And I just try to rotate. He needs a lot more variety than I do. I'm like happy eating potatoes and vegetables every day. And like, that's the staple of my diet. I prefer just really simple, straightforward. And he likes pretty simple, but he does need a little more variety than I do. So I try to honor that and give him variety every day to keep him interested. And there's some potatoes here for him to eat that are a little bit like maybe a few days old. So he always gets our leftovers. We call them the garburator. Or garbage disposal. I'm Canadian. We call it garburator in Canada. So, this says eat because this is for him. He sometimes doesn't know if it's saved for the boys or for me or whatever. So he can eat these. These are sweet potato rounds that I've roasted in the oven. He absolutely loves those. These are primarily for my older son. He loves microwaved potatoes. These are Idaho potatoes. He likes them microwaved, I guess because they get, drier and starchier, and he really likes that. So I try to make those for him. He actually makes them himself a lot of times now in the microwave. And then this is some wild rice and peas. I will have videos up for each of these things to just share how I make those. Super easy. This is an Instapot meal. That's mostly for the boys. They really enjoy that. Both of these bags actually are filled with steamed potatoes that I steamed in the Instapot, because that is the bulk of my food lately, at least, has come from potatoes. I go through phases. Sometimes I love buckwheat and quinoa. Sometimes I love sweet potatoes. And I just, whatever, any starch is good in my books. Any whole starch. So this is some romaine. I like actually using that as a spoon for my steamed vegetable soup. I really enjoy that. It's just a nice combo. Don't knock it till you try it. And it's a way of, honestly, again, keeping it simple, because I don't want to chop a salad. I do love a chopped salad, but it's so much work. So I just tear off these leaves and use them as a scoop, so I get some raw greens in as well. Another bag back there from Costco. It's one of the things we buy at Costco often. Corn tortillas for the boys. They like using those sort of as sandwiches, or sometimes if we have ripe bananas, my youngest especially likes like wrapping it around the banana and eating that together as like a just whole fruit and corn tortilla way of eating these. He really enjoys those. Especially for my youngest, I need to focus on giving him enough calorie density, because he would eat himself sick on fruit. He loves it, but we also recognize like he needs the calories. He's a little skinny mini and tall, and so we try to make sure he has what he needs to not overfill his belly. So and then these are some carob oat cookies that I made yesterday. It's literally 4 ingredients: vanilla, carob, oats, and sweet potato, and there will be a video out for that as well. My kids love like cookies and things like that, and I like packing them for snacks. We also use them for breakfasts. These are sweet potato rounds, more just like I had up on top for my husband, but I like to, my kids usually have this bottom shelf primarily, and that stuff's for them too right now, but because they just grab these and reheat them by themselves in the microwave. Some chili left over, some white beans that are left over, and then down here is just like there's celery and mushrooms and carrots and baby carrots, because we have a lizard and we have to feed the bugs carrots. It's quite disgusting, but anyway, whatever. That's what the carrots are for, the baby carrots. We mostly eat the big carrots, although lately my youngest son keeps asking for baby carrots to snack on. Cut up apples and squares, oat banana squares in here, because these are their breakfasts for the boys. They're super fast on weekdays because I homeschool them, and I just throw literally a fruit. Sometimes it's cut up oranges, fruit, a square, and then their veggies. That's what they look at every morning. That's their breakfast. Tomorrow they like this. I'm going to give each of them a bag of cucumber and tomatoes, and that's going to be their primary veggie for tomorrow. In our fridge door, we have a whole lot of homemade condiments. I just started doing this like a couple years ago, and it is wonderful. It's the way my husband can be salt-free. I was so proud of him for wanting to be salt-free, and so I make him really easy, all in the Vitamix. Actually, it's the only thing I use the Vitamix for: hot sauces and salt-free mustard. So there's different mustards. There is a mild hot sauce here. I don't know if, I think we're out of the hot sauce. So anyway, that's usually what's in our fridge door. And yeah, I think that's it. Did I forget anything? Fruit is downstairs, and our steamed veggies are fresh every day. So starch staples, that's the big thing that we keep in our fridge to keep us going and to make this just so simple and easy and sustainable and delicious. It's so easy, it's so yummy, and we have great energy because of it. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please consider liking and subscribing, leaving a comment below. Also, let me know if, I'm happy to show kind of what we keep in our pantry, what I keep in my freezer. If you find this helpful, just to kind of see what I actually have in my fridge. What do we have in our house available to us that makes it easy to eat this way, and pretty cost effective. I'd be happy to share. So just let me know in the comments below.